Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look on how good the new DLC Pokemon from the main series game is going to be in Pokemon Go. This is going to be mainly focused of course on PvP as this is a PvP channel, but we're also going to take a little bit of a look for like raids and kind of look at that. But before that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Only around 41% are actually subscribed who watches my videos, so it's free. Feel free to subscribe, it's down below. We're going to start already with the Pokemon. The first two Pokemon going to be ones that are actually not from this DLC, but got introduced in the main series games a little bit later on than the release start. And there's going to be Walking Wake, which is going to get around the 4200 CP mark. I had to calculate all the stats on my own for like at least most of the Pokemon, so if there are some mistakes, I'm sorry about this. It was not intentional, but those should be all alright, especially in game as well should be all alright. But yeah, we're going to see right now it's going to have a very high attack stat, fairly decent stamina, a little bit low defense, but potential definitely of S. As we can take a look at the potential move pool, not the stats, all the moves are in the game files of Pokemon Go itself, so we just went for the moves that it can learn in the main series games and take a look on what would be realistic. This seems to be a very realistic moveset here of having the Dragon Breath, Breaking Swipe, Liquidation. Does seem to be a very good moveset, and as you can see right now, this would make this Pokemon very strong. It could also learn something like Dragon Claw, but also it has a signature move, Hydro Steam, which might be also a cool addition for this eventually, but this will definitely be a cool legendary Pokemon, I guess. I guess it's like in between legendary Pokemon and like the futuristic Pokemon, or like, yeah, you know what I mean. I actually don't know. The Paradox Pokemon, that's what I wanted to say. I don't know which really classification it has. Is it a legendary? It's just Paradox. It's kind of in between. Kind of in between is also the next one, which is going to be Iron Leaves. Of course, it's basically a futuristic form of the, what's called Venusian, so definitely interesting there, which is going to get to 4351 CP apparently, and has also a very high attack stat, but better defense and better stamina, but compared to the other one, it's going to be a little bit worse for especially PvP, as we're going to have here actually Magical Leaf, I think, as a fast move potentially as well, but we're going to have the Leaf Blade as well as Close Combat plus the Quick Attack, which is actually a really decent moveset. Also, for the Pokemon prior, by the way, Walking Wake, I wouldn't really expect it to be crazy strong as a rate attacker. They're just a little bit higher attack rated Dragon-type Pokemon. This one would be fairly decent, I guess, as like something like Grass Attacker, but you definitely need kind of a better fast move. Here we're going to also have the signature move Psyblade, which would of course be Psychic type, which would really help this Pokemon out as well for double stab, but I feel like Close Combat gives it better coverage in the current meta. As you can see, there are a lot of Steel type Pokemon where you kind of want to have Close Combat, but having Leaf Blade as well as Quick Attack on a Pokemon that gets to max CP of like more than 4000 is really nice, because at the current time there's not really a single decent Grass type Pokemon for the Open Master League, and you kind of need to have a Grass type Pokemon that's part also like has coverage for like those Steel type Pokemon, because Steel types are everywhere. Of course, this Pokemon would completely get destroyed by Giratina for either form, and so it's going to have still a lot of answers, but I feel like it's a very balanced pick, so it's potential here of A. Next one going to be Dipplin. This Pokemon would have the signature move Syrup Bomb, which would most likely help this Pokemon quite a bit. It is okay bulky, it's actually fairly decently bulky. It is around the same bulk, I think, as Tapu Fini for both Great as well as Ultra League, like somewhere around that. So it definitely can take a hit, but it's not too great. Grass and Dragon typing is really cool in general, I feel like, because we don't really have anything like this in Pokemon Go other than the Alolan Executor. So this Pokemon would be kind of interesting, but it just doesn't really have the greatest potential. So you can take a look at this one here right now. For the Ultra League, it's a better one compared to Great League. I always show basically the best league for this Pokemon here on this video, but you can see already it's not the greatest. You kind of want to have something like Syrup Bomb, which might give it some kind of edge with some kind of debuffing or something going on with this one, but if you don't give it a signature move, you're most likely going to end up with a pretty bad Pokemon, sadly. So most likely, yeah, B tier potential. If Syrup Bomb actually works out well, then it might have some play, but otherwise it definitely does not. Next Pokemon coming up right now, going to be the Poltchageist. Poltchageist is going to be the pre-evolution of another Pokemon, which you're going to take a look afterwards, but it's going to be a Grass as well as Ghost type, which you already had several times in the game already. We had Trevenant, you also had the Gourgeist, which definitely is a Pokemon that has the same typing, so it's a little bit tough to get away from Trevenant with this Pokemon. It's going to be here, of course, the pre-evolution only gets to 1287 CP. With not really that great stats, of course, because it's a pre-evolution, not really surprising. Actually, getting access to Magical Leaf, Shadow Ball, and Foul Play is interesting, but you can see already it's not going to be too crazy. But if you take a look at the evolution here, the Sinistcha, we're going to have here something that I don't really like too much for PvP at least. You're going to see a Pokemon that gets around 3300 CP, which is a little bit awkward. But then has like a high attack stat and not really the greatest defense and stamina. And this basically puts it into the worst possible spot for Pokemon Go PvP, because you can either have high attack and high CP in order to be viable for the Ultra League, or you have like this mid CP of like 3000 around about there, but then you have to have low attack and great defense and stamina to be decent. And as you can see, a potential of D, as you can see as well with the moveset, it's kind of the same as the one before. And this one actually has a signature move, which is Matcha Gotcha, which is definitely something that could help this Pokemon out quite a bit. It's not going to be great anywhere soon, because Trevenant is just the same Pokemon and better. Having Shadow Claw is so much better than Magical Leaf or any kind of grass type move so far that this Pokemon could learn. It does not learn Shadow Claw, like it doesn't have claws as well, so it does make sense that it doesn't learn this move. But as you can see right now, this Pokemon does not really have any potential, neither in the Ultra League or in the Great League. So yeah, maybe with a signature move, if they make it crazy overpowered, it has some potential, but otherwise this Pokemon will not be useful. Now we're gonna take a look at the legendary Pokemon that are coming up with the current DLC. And we're going to see right now that this is going to be a 4012 CP Okidogi, which is kind of nice here, which is going to be the poison as well as fighting type. Similar to Toxicroak, of course, giving it a great typing actually for the Master League, especially as it's going to be very unique. And the stat distribution is very equal. You have a lot of, like, you have a decent amount of attack, you have a decent amount of defense, you have a decent amount of stamina, which is actually really solid. It doesn't learn any signature move, but as you can see right now, with Counter, Superpower, and Sludge Bomb as a potential moveset, it actually looks like a really good Pokemon to use for the Master League. Getting just above the 4000 CP is also really nice, and as you can see here, it does definitely do a very decent job against most Pokemon of the meta. Being able to break away the Dialga plus Zacian plus Xerneas core is just really cool, so I like this Pokemon quite a lot. Of course, you're gonna get completely destroyed by Giratina, like that's for sure, as well as Lugia, going to completely wreck you, but this Pokemon has some decent potential, so I kind of like this one quite a bit, and it's definitely going to be a decent one of the legendary trio which you have now during this new DLC, which is going to be the next Pokemon here. The Munkidori is going to have a great attack stat, but a not so great defense stat. Like defense, it lost a lot. Attack, it gained a little bit above the other one there. Stamina, by the way, for all three main legendary Pokemon here is going to be the exact same. They all have the same HP stat, so I don't have to change anything towards that. But while it has a very high attack stat, like the typing, which is the Galarian Slowbro's typing, basically, is okay. You kind of need to have some kind of coverage for Steel-type Pokemon in this meta, and it's not that great. As you can see right now, this Pokemon does not really have anything going on for itself. It has mediocre charge moves, it has a mediocre fast move, it has a mediocre typing, and it's just a mediocre Pokemon. You can just try to use it as like a fun pick to hard counter Zacian and Xerneas, but you also would have something like Nihilego, which just does it better. So, not really too sure about this one. I'm fairly certain this would be a cool Pokemon for raid attacking, though. If you need like some kind of poison type attacker, this definitely could help you out quite a bit. But other than this, it's most likely not going to be the best Pokemon ever. Taking a look at the next one is going to be the, actually, in my opinion, most interesting one. This Pokemon Fezandipiti, I don't know. Honestly, I should not even try it anymore at this point of time. Going to have a potential of A+ for me. And you're going to see already, it's not going to have the highest CP, but it's basically what exactly you kind of want to see for the Ultra League. You have a very low attack stat, or like a fairly low attack stat for this kind of CP range, and a very decent defense stat, which is going to be very cool for this Pokemon. While it shares the same typing as Galarian Weezing, it's going to have access to most likely Poison Jab, like the other Pokemon prior as well. Moonblast, and maybe even Cross Poison, which it learns as a normal move, like just generally from leveling up as far as I can see. So this moveset itself would be really cool to see for the Ultra League, and it would be a really great Pokemon to use. As you can see here right now, this is going to be able to beat a lot of the standard meta mons here right now, while still getting completely hard-rolled by Steel-type Pokemon. So it's a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon to use, which I like kinda a lot here. Should be very decent to use for the for the Ultra League here. Not so much for the Master League, most likely just because of the low amount of CP, but it's a fairly solid Pokemon and definitely something to look forward to. Now we're gonna take a look at the final one. Oops, I messed up. I completely forgot about Blood Moon Ursaluna for this video because I only went by a new Pokédex Pokemon, and this is of course just a form from Ursaluna. So yeah, apologies, it's most likely somewhere in the middle of the video. It's going to be the final Pokemon afterwards. I most likely put it in front of the final Pokemon. This is going to be Blood Moon Ursaluna here right now, going to get up to 4205 CP. Going to have in the main series games actually better stats than the normal Ursaluna, but has in Pokemon Go, because on how like stats are calculated for Pokemon Go, actually worse stats than the normal Ursaluna. Don't question me why, but it's mainly because stamina gets calculated a little bit differently, and this has way less, like a little bit less stamina than the normal one, which impacts it a little bit more. So it's going to have a little bit less bulk, a little bit less HP, but still has decent potential here. We're going to put it here with one of the best possible movesets, basically with high horsepower, which is just a legacy move from the other one, so I kind of went for that. Mud Shot, which definitely learns, as well as a Body Slam here, which is going to give it great coverage for the Master League mainly. Wouldn't make it overpowered at all. Also, the stats are a little bit worse. It's still, okay, I forgot the typing here, by the way, but you still see it on the screen anyway. Ground and normal, it's still the same typing. People were speculating that's part Steel type, as the Pokédex entry kind of shows it, as well as the Pokemon kind of shows it, but it didn't change its typing, sadly. So, very interesting Pokemon for sure. Definitely a potential of A+ here, but I forgot about this before, so that's why you see it here afterwards, and have fun with the rest of the video. Bye-bye. Which is going to be a little bit interesting, as this is going to be Ogerpon, which is going to get to 3759 CP, which is not too high for legendary Pokemon, but it's going to be an interesting one as well, because it's not just a pure grass type Pokemon. It has different kind of forms in the DLC games, where you have like different kind of masks that this Pokemon can wear, and giving it basically with that different typing. As you can see on top there, there's a grass and fire, rock and grass, and also a water and grass type variant of this Pokemon, which is going to make it kind of something like a Genesect for the Master League. And right now I cannot really give you a great potential for it, because if you take a look at the grass variant of it, it kind of sucks, not gonna lie. But with its signature move, and the signature move changing its typing based on which mask it has, kinda like Technoblast basically for the Genesect, this Pokemon actually might have some decent potential for the Master League. I would not expect it to be like the craziest ever, but having already some decent potential in terms of coverage, and then a signature move that would also have most likely some decent damage output, plus giving it different kind of coverage, might be really cool. For example, if you would think about something like the fire typing as a coverage, then you would have a grass type that can all of a sudden beat those steel type Pokemon, which most likely is the best move to go for offensively. Defensively, water typing could be fairly decent as well, which I don't really expect too much, but I think the rock typing also would have some kind of play, being basically a Credilli then with this one, giving you an option to then hit something like a Lugia and Yveltal, which you would not hit otherwise. So you can then decide basically if you most likely want either the rock or the fire one just for the offensive pressure. The rock is, I think, the most decent one to use, to be fair, because also for the Giratina, otherwise you're gonna get hardwalled from that one. But you always get hardwalled from Dialga or Giratina, so you can choose from that, I feel like. So both of them would be kind of interesting, so I cannot really give you a final ranking for this one. It's just too much unclear about like the signature move that's going to change its typing, plus the Pokemon changing its typing, so we have to see about this one. So definitely a cool one there. But also, if you're missing some of the other Pokemon that were basically already announced, those are coming up still. They are not in the current DLC. We don't know how strong they're going to be in terms of her stats, so I cannot really take a look at them yet. They were all announced already though, so they're going to be most likely more for the upcoming DLC. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see more of them for like upcoming generations. And if you want them, then definitely feel free to subscribe as well. See you then. Bye bye.